For granted, go be bilo iline when uskolele. Ungamuphinda uzithathe for granted. Go be bilo iline when uskolele. There's so much going on that I'm dancing. So much is going wrong, but so much is going right. But sometimes that's clouded, and I know it's wrong to think like this. Sometimes I'm clouded that I can't see. I know I got a lot on my mind. I know one day I'm gonna get it right. I know you got a lot on your mind. I know one day you're gonna get it right.
Oh man, you cannot tell me the sweet sounds of Amanda Black to start the show did not set your Friday mood, and we're hoping to take it even higher. Hello, hi, and welcome to Trendz Live. My name is Kansani Kaza, but because we're family now, I'm so excited to spend the next hour with you. Not only is Amanda in studio to perform, she's also here to have a conversation with us about what she's been up to, as well as all-rounder artist, the formidable Pilani Bubu, who's also taken to the stage tonight. So trust me, you're in for an exceptional evening. On to other news though. Legendary Kwaito musician Mapaputi, whose real name is Sandile Ngwenya, passed away on Thursday night after a short illness. He was popularly known for his hit song titled Izinja and so many others. Mapaputi's passing happened during a sad time when the country is also mourning the passing of legendary broadcaster Thabiso Sukwane, praise singer and poet Jessica Mbangeni, who both passed away unfortunately last week Saturday. They will be sorely missed. We as the Trendz Life family are sending our condolences to their family, friends and all their fans. Last year, we had the honor here on the Trendz Live stage of hosting the impeccable Jessica Mbangeni. So please, let's take a look back.
She made her mark as a praise singer when she joined multi-Grammy award-winning Soweto Gospel Choir in 2002 and toured Germany, Australia, New Zealand, Scotland, and the 37 cities in the United States of America. She has performed at the prestigious events such as the 4664 concert in Cape Town and the South African President Thabo Mbeki's second inauguration. Now, around this time last year, she had a gig in New York and at the South African Embassy in the Washington, D.C. for a celebration of Freedom Day in 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about the one and only divine infinity energy of her universe, Jessica Mbangeni. Welcome to the studio.
Greetings, son of the soil. Greetings in the name of Africa, my beginning, Africa, my ending.
Beautiful. Son of the soil. Beautiful. I just want to ask you, you having that pride of being an African and introducing by saying son of the soil, what does it mean so much for you to be an African?
I am not an African because I was born in Africa, but I'm an African because Africa was born in me. As you were just telling me about the meaning of your name, Tiseto,
yes.
Perseverance, resilience, the wars that we fought for us to be able to keep our identity and to keep our culture, traditions, yes. our heritage, and hold on into this beautiful African continent, which is the giver of birth yes. to the whole world. Remember, we have been one world, which was called Gondwana land. And this part of the continent is the one that has given birth to all the nations of the world. Look at the cradle of humankind. Look at Mapungubwe. All the nations know that they are coming from here. And traveling the world and seven seas made me to know that actually in Africa we're looking for illusion if we want to be something that is out in the world, because the world focuses in Africa. As you have heard the phrase that says the world focuses in Africa, because this is their home. You look at the Hollywood stars, they are coming back home. This is not a joke. There is a what you call, there's a hunger and that people are yearning to reconnect with their roots and to be born in this beautiful continent. It's such a privilege for me. It is my wealth.
So just in your voice as you're speaking, you show some pride in being African, but then the poetry drools within your speech. Just tell me, the love of poetry and dance, when did it start?
It didn't even start. I was born a poet. Because ndiyimbongi yomthonyama. So my muse are the original and authentic Xhosa-inspired muse. They would say I'm a griot. I do not want to say a praise poet, because as Imbongi, we do not praise always. We are the prophetic voice that conveys divine messages from God, from our ancestors, and also the vision of the people. We are able to articulate it. So it's a gift that I am born with, and it's actually today it becomes even relevant into the corporate world, where I speak to financial institutions like African Bank, your what you call Development Bank of Southern Africa, because times are changing and times are evolving. I'm talking about the economic development, where I'm addressing the issues of the decommodification of our own commodities, starting from our culture and traditions, building museums, what you call galleries, so that the people of the world can come and look at our different artisans.
So then with your attire, it's so majestic, it's beautiful, it shows beauty in many aspects. Just talk a bit about the attire and walk us through the whole design and the idea.
This is the fusion of the South African traditional outfits, which is isiXhosa, umbhaco, isiNdebele, bathi inyoka yamaNdebele, ufele lwengwe, which symbolizes the ownership of our indigenous knowledge systems, the alignment of our spirituality to our royalty. And this is called isiXhosa, ngesiXhosa. Then because I'm the queen of the universe, I carry the energy of the birds, which is our beautiful peacock that we are known of across the world. South Africa is one of the countries that have got wonders of the world. And we are the wonder of the world. Hence, I'm wearing all this regalia today.
And
I've made it in my shop, Kwanto Afrocentric Designs. And the reason why we decided to elaborate and make this massive, it's all because we cannot be waiting for the Hollywood to put a dust on our culture. We need to elevate it and take it on a global scale, so that when our Beyoncés and them or Tamia come to South Africa, we dress them up and we ride on the global wave without preserving our intellectual property. Because there would be time whereby Jessica would have to request from Hollywood. So we're avoiding that. That is the decommodification of our commodities, which is the arts and culture and our heritage.
And I choose to say that I'm crowning you as the brand ambassador for Africa. May you continue shining, may you continue showing pride of Africa. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to welcome the glorious, the majesty, Dr. Jessica Mbangeni. Kamaku.
Is formed by the victories that are the jewels around our African crown. The victories that we earned from Isandwana to Khartoum, as Ethiopians, as Ashanti of Ghana, and as the peppers of the desert. Mbanamni nalantu bonayo.
Blockhouses were structurally a place of protection for the soldiers.
This is an ancient trail that was done by the people, the village people that used to stay here. It was used as a trade route.
I was fascinated about the structures that were used during wartime.
Walking on these trails, one is always reminded of the hardships that the Attire had to endure.
Welcome back. You're tuned into Trendz Live. Please do continue interacting with us on X at Trendz on SABC. So not only is it my birthday month and spring has sprung, but we're celebrating the colourful and diverse heritage of South Africa. Tonight we usher in Heritage Month with creatives who put a paintbrush and canvas to work in an effort to answer what makes us distinctively South African. Our producer Pilani Bubu gave us an insight. And here it is.
Conversations over coffee or any morning refreshment of your choice always sets precedence to a day. On this particular morning, social media influencers, creatives and socialites gathered for a sip and paint event to unpack what it means to be distinctly South African.
We have come with the campaign of a beautiful beginning with every jar, inspired with artists, 4 main artists. 3 of them are here today. One couldn't be here, unfortunately, but they put their feelings, their experiences and thoughts into designing each of the jars. These are while stocks last. Yes, so while stocks last. So go and get them while they're there. Go home with them, make a cup of coffee, and when you're done with the jar, you can always use it for a lot of upcycling needs. So you can keep it for your makeup, so you can put your utensils in the kitchens in there, or whatever else you feel you can upcycle. So it's jars that you don't have to throw away.
A mix of professional artists and art lovers, a space where really there is no right or wrong way to express one's heritage.
Heritage is different to everybody, you know, and when it comes to heritage, I feel like it's everybody's personal story, you know. I don't like to necessarily say do this and do A, B, C, D. I feel like it's something that comes from the heart. The brief for this was basically, we need to create something authentically South African, and I wanted to create something that encompasses the whole country. And I'm a Zulu woman, but I feel like Zulu pattern necessarily is not necessarily as recognizable. So I wanted to incorporate both cultures, Zulu and Ndebele, into the artwork. Yeah.
My thing is always about pushing Africa in my art. Africa as a whole, the entire continent. And I just try and bring that across in my artwork. You know, I felt that for a long time, the African story has been told by people not from Africa. So it's just a matter of trying to capture what I see every day, you know, in South Africa, in Africa, and bringing that across into my artwork. And that's how I try and stay authentic, by just recreating what I see every day. So my local inspiration for the artwork was Sophia Town. You know, I was inspired by the fashion, the art, the music. So Hugh Masekela, Miriam Makeba, and just how Sophia Town was just a mixing pot of cultures. And that's what I decided to bring across in my artwork.
Was this your first time drawing with coffee?
Yeah, very first time. So I think it takes a bit of getting used to, you know, because you usually drink it. But now I'm checking I can paint with this too.
You can sip and paint with it.
Yeah, and I'm thinking it's not waterproof, so it probably has to get sealed. Otherwise, someone might just, you know, start thinking it's an edible piece of artwork.
And whose face is this?
This face is one of the faces you see walking, you know, all around the city or checking out social media, and just as you go about life, you just, as an artist, you pick up things mentally and they just sit there, and then you just like know what to do. A lot of my work is just my imagination and my memory.
This is a hut. It's inspired by the Zulu traditional mud houses. So yeah, and I just added a bit of color and obviously some stoop as well. So yeah, So are you an artist?
I'm not, definitely not.
How did you get to do like the definitions? Like everything is so precise.
So I just thought of, obviously it's the clouds here, and then if you can see the texture here, I used coffee here to texturize the mud, you know, the clay houses, and I just added a bit of color orange just for color because it's like sunny, it's bright, it's also inspired by spring, so it's a bit warmer. So yeah.
What are you making and how do you feel this is in line with being distinctively South African?
So at the moment I'm busy putting together a nighttime sky overlooking Table Bay. So uniquely South African, it's probably one of South Africa's top tourist landmarks, Table Mountain. So I thought, sure, bring a bit of Cape Town to the Josie crowd.
Always a marvel to watch when a paint and a canvas do the talking when it comes to how we all view the world around us.
Heritage Month is truly off to a great start. Multi-platinum selling and multi-award-winning singer-songwriter Amanda Black is here to catch us up with what she's been up to since the release of her debut album, Amazulu, back in 2016. She took the industry by storm and never looked back. Since then, she has released 3 other albums, and her latest one, titled From My Soil to Yours, was released last year, and she's been performing it on massive stages, just like this one. So, welcome to Trendz Live, Mbangeni.
Pilani, thank you so much for having me.
Oh man, it's such a pleasure and honor to have you with us in studio. I mean, we're celebrating Heritage Month. Yes. What does this month mean to you?
It means owning who you are and being proud of it. I'm very proud of who I am, where I come from, how I look when I wake up in the morning. I believe heritage has much to do with the inside more than how we express it, because the expression comes after what happens inside. Oh. So for me, heritage is who I am.
And that's why you're a songwriter, because you should just hear what you were serving me with right now.
Just pour it out.
Just pouring it out. I mean, we have to speak about the fact that, you know, you've got this album that's out, From My Soil to Yours. How did the album come about, even the title?
Sure. The second song I'm going to do today is called Masithandane, and that was the first song that I actually wrote before I even decided to do the album.
Okay.
From My Soil to Yours, what I just said about heritage has literally everything to do with an inward work that I have been doing from Nyama, where I was in a dark place and not really understanding what was going on, to From My Soil to Yours, where I'm looking back and reflecting on how I got to where I got, good and bad, and how I got to who I am. So From My Soil to Yours is just an outpouring of questions that I have, of understanding that I have.
You now have,
but it's not complete. I realize that self-love is a journey. So, hey guys,
so next album there's going to be more things that you're going to be, you know, revealing to us.
I'm always learning. I'm always growing.
I love that. But you are that girl that's known to be singing isiXhosa. What made you actually go that direction?
I've always wanted to. I grew up on, you know, listening to Mamire Makeba, Brenda Fassie. So I had that influence when I was growing up. And then when I started listening to Otandi Swasimpiwa Dana. But I grew up as a coconut, so I never thought...
That's what we asking, girl.
I actually never thought I'd be able to do it.
Yeah.
And Amazulu is the first, like, actual song I wrote in isiXhosa. And I always thought that I couldn't do it because I was like, hey, with my broken English, with my broken Xhosa mixing of English, but I realized just to express it the way that I only know how to. And so that's how I got into it.
You did it so well. We would never even know that there was a challenge. But one of the things that we pick up from like the album and just your music, it's a lot of like affirmations and a lot of just being rooted in self. And I mean, even in the way that you show up so authentically as yourself, and even what you were saying right now to me, do you feel like that's led itself, or was because of your music journey and like the revelation and growth of self? Like, what led to that?
It's not only the music. It's because we are taught to isolate ourselves from what we do, and what we do every day is literally, for me, it's even my passion. So it is literally enmeshed into who I am. I am the music. The music is me. So the journey really has been in my personal life, and then also the challenges, or rather the experience I've been having in the industry, but more so just Amanda, what I've been going through in my life and how I deal with it and how I grow and how I see the world. And that's what my music is, how I see the world.
It's so inspiring because there's obviously going to be another little girl out there watching you and saying, I can show up as just me, and that is good enough. Now, you have a song that's called Love My Body where we see you rapping. Is that a hint of like a rap album that's going to come, or a collab or something?
One day, when I'm brave enough.
Just not now. We started. We're not doing that now.
No, when my confidence is up there for it. But yeah, I've always been a hip hop person. Like,
yeah, but it was so fun. It was so great to see you also just tap into that other part of you. It's so amazing. Now, you don't actually have collaborations on the album. What was that? Was that you saying, guys, this is very personal to me and I'm going to keep it as just me?
You know, with collaborations, it always happens. Like it's either a suggestion from someone else, or I think of it while doing the song. And if it doesn't come, I don't force it. So I don't be like, okay, guys, this album doesn't have features. If it didn't come, oh, what do you think of Ubani? Oh, I'm hearing somebody else come to contribute on this. But it wasn't, I guess, I was a little selfish with this album.
And there's nothing wrong with that. No.
In the end, I was like, this is me. So Amazulu had no features.
Yes.
So I think it was also like just traveling back into time and tapping into that self in Obana. I need to trust that without features, it'll still be great.
And it is
even
already great.
With or without.
Kel, it already is great. We don't need all those other things. But like you said, you're on a journey with self and your music career. So when the time is right and you feel it, we'll get there. And now you've got a lot of versatility as well on the album, from R&B sounds, like 90s vibes, a little bit of Yanos there. How did that come about in the creation and process of this album?
My team is amazing. My team also, I'm the one who's behind on like what's happening in the world sometimes. Like, oh, what's new, what's not.
They have to catch you up.
Yeah, like I don't really care. Like I listen, but for me, I don't like, oh, I need to make something that sounds like what's being made. So there's a balance with my team. Like Christ and Vogan, they really like, come, we need to try. We need to like experiment. So our music, Nje, that's how it culminates, how our experiences in the music industry and how our own worldviews and our own artistry, it comes into it. So I'm really happy to be working with people that are not afraid to push me.
But
like,
you
let's try it.
But I think they push you because they know that you're also willing to go there within yourself.
Definitely.
So now we need to know, like, is there like more music or other projects or anything that you can share with our viewers and me? I will keep it safe here at this house.
New music, I'm always writing. You know, when I am in a good space, I will go to my writing, you know, dark or good, dark or light. I do tap into that and try to express myself. So that's always happening, but no new music.
Can we just enjoy from my soul to yours for now?
I am performing on the 14th next week at the Folklore Festival. So there's a lot of things coming up, and I have my own show in East London on the 26th of October.
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, for now I'm really just focusing coming back onto the stage. Like I really miss the stage. So that's what I'm focusing on now. Perhaps a tour coming up as well, but you'll tell us.
So that was actually going to be something I was going to ask you about. Where can we catch you? But excited that you're going to be at the festival next week. Your show as well in the Eastern Cape. I feel like a lot of people just, even if they don't live there, they need to figure out a way to get themselves there, because seeing you perform when we started the show was amazing. And the fact that you get to perform for us again, I'm so excited. I just want to thank you so much for being in studio with us and with where you've come from with your journey at that other show, a competition that you were on, to where you are now. You've done amazing, and I need to give you a high five for that. Thank you, Amanda. So you heard it. She is going to be performing once again as we go for an ad break. What an honor, what a privilege to have Amanda Black in studio with us. So please take the stage, Mama.
It's all in our hands, cause we're all the same. Everywhere in the world, our magic binds us together. We'll take you far, you are me, I am you, and we are in tune. So much we go through, so still I believe in you and me. Together we live.
Channel 404 is the only place to be op 'n Vrydag, so welkom terug. Now, the French Ministry for Europe and Foreign Affairs and other partners created a groundbreaking initiative aimed to boost and support entrepreneurship in the cultural and creative industries in South Africa, Lesotho, as well as Malawi. One of the creative entrepreneurs in Mzansi selected to be a part of this program is the founder and creative director of Renaissance Design. Our producer, Seleba Maifadi, had a chat with this pattern designer, so let's take a look.
Meet Lorena Mabaso. She's deeply invested in preserving the heritage and indigenous knowledge of ancient Africa through design.
Studying interior design came from me being obsessed with top billing. Let's start there. So I thought, I'd spend the rest of my life designing high-end residentials, overlooking the ocean in Cape Town. But I found my purpose along the way when I discovered all this knowledge about ancient Africa. Then it hit me. I was like, I need to create a platform where I can showcase all of this knowledge and still also mainly preserve it, but still within the interior design or design context. We design patterns that are coded through symbolism, and I really wanted to put forth just the importance of African history and ancient heritage. And I think through pattern design, I'm able to speak of all these stories. And they're amazing, not just patterns, designs, creative knowledge, but even like ancient architecture that used to exist in ancient Africa. And that's something I was never exposed to while studying interior design.
If patterns could talk, right? That's what Lorena does through her designs, highlighting a world of layered storytelling. Where do you draw your inspiration?
I love to play with sound. I mean, Africa is a very vibrant continent, and I feel like sound and music and dance is a part of who we are. For instance, I was designing a pattern for the Venda that was inspired by the Venda culture, and I found myself actually listening to indigenous Venda sounds, from the instruments to the women singing, their voices chanting, and I found that sort of creates some kind of an alignment in my design process.
Alignment indeed. Break down this creative process. How do you reach the final product?
I usually start with the research, which is very important. I feel like that's the core of what I do. And yeah, low-key, that is my favorite part, definitely. And from then on, because Africa as the continent has so many similar symbols that we use, whether through beadwork, traditional, attires, and so forth, it becomes very simple to pick up certain symbols that are repetitive throughout the continent. And because my brand, Renaissance Design, doesn't just focus on South Africa or South African cultures, it's a Pan-African brand, so I love to explore the continent a lot. I'd love to travel, the continent. But I think because there's so many similarities, it becomes simple to pick up certain shapes that I then infuse into the pattern. And with some, I literally create my own visual language. So then it becomes more exciting because it becomes more of a modern language that I create literally for myself and merge with the ancient in order for it to live on, modern pieces in modern spaces.
So, what is your preferred canvas?
I appreciate all the applications, but I think probably the boldest and most impactful is when the patterns are applied to the walls. Definitely, because then whether on the exterior of a building or on the interior, it's always very impactful because that's the first thing that hits, your eyes.
These striking shapes hold a lot of strength. Where is the power of the pattern?
The power of the pattern definitely lies in two things: the symbolism and the colors that you use, definitely. Obviously, the first thing you see is the color, then you'd want to know, okay, what is this about? Then the symbolism and the explanation behind it, the inspiration behind it comes through. So those two things definitely important.
Mutrendi, now that we know that African patterns are coded with messages taken from African storytelling, what pattern are you picking?
That is a great question. What pattern are you picking? Shout out to my Fadi for that, bringing us that beautiful insert. Now, having a hobby is said to be an activity that helps us break away from day-to-day stresses and help promote better mental health. Now, vinyl collectors are often very serious about their appreciation of music and find greater life satisfaction. It's beautiful to see that record stores are around and providing collectors, new and old, an opportunity to own music from their favorite artists, and they will tell you there's nothing quite like that feeling. Great value has been associated with records once again, with refrains bringing pure elation to lucky and studious collectors. Our producer Pilani ventured to Milpark Johannesburg to appreciate this format of music. Now, let the good times roll.
So here we are, Trenders. It's a beautiful morning in Johannesburg. We're tucked away in a corner, coming across all sorts of wonderful people who collect music. People who associate beautiful memories to different records, all sorts. You have your jazz, you have your techno. I see some Solange, some Rihanna over there. Listen, music is such a wonderful connector, and today I am connecting with Brett. Listen, the people that we've been interacting with this morning, what is it that brings everyone to Mr. Vinyl?
You know, it's such a community spirit. I think that collecting records is so much more than just the music. It's so much more than just the auditory experience. You know, people go on dates here, which I find quite phenomenal. People meet their friends here, and it becomes like a bit of a sort of ritual where people grab a coffee, go browse the record store and see what's going on.
Let's talk about you and your genesis in LPs and vinyls. Where did it all begin for you?
As a kid. I think I had my first gig DJing when I was about 6 years old. I love music, and it's been my savior through my life. I've played in bands, I've DJ'd, I wrote about music for a long time. And then this vinyl revival started kicking off. It pretty much started in Europe, and around 2008 I got back into record collecting. And I just really wanted a spot where I could buy records in South Africa, and I was struggling. So I had a friend at a record label, and we bought some records from that big record label. We sold that crate, it then became 2 crates, sold those, and eventually there were just records all over my house, and I knew it was time to get a retail store.
In a world where everything digital is almost unavoidable, it's heartwarming to know that there are lovers of the old school and converge in spaces like these. Vinyl collecting is experiencing a resurgence. Young and old music lovers alike are here for it.
I've been collecting since 1975. And my father didn't know anything about music. My mother didn't know anything about music. So I've learned it from Uncle Benny, the fourth house from our house. And that's when I went to visit a friend, I'll sit, and the father will play, and that's how I got hooked up into jazz music.
I know technology is very good and it's easy, but you know, when you look at things like this, they also bring memory. They also, you know, it's things that you can keep. You know, radio and in a related record, you know, on a Sunday, and it just retains that family kind of a thing on a Sunday afternoon or Mama's record. And somehow, I don't know, somehow the sound of it, when you're listening to it, even word for word, you know, you feel good about it.
I think it's just really fun. I think everybody kind of gets into the the sensory, and you use your body to play vinyls. You know, you just don't hit play on a phone and then walk away. So there's constantly an opportunity for everybody also to share in that. So, you know, when a record ends, somebody's digging through the crates and going, oh, I want to hear this one next. And I think that's just a nice way to gather around music.
It's very accessible to DJ and to collect music on a digital platform, but I saw value in records because the bombardment of information, and it's a lot to handle at once. So at least with records, I could take my time and curate my own my own style. It came naturally and easier. So that's what drew me to records, and just watching some of my favorite DJs like Jeff Mills, DVS1, and all of these guys, their videos, they're always working the turntables and records. So that like drew me to that, to be able to do what they were doing.
What is it about the sound that makes it so different?
So the sound is analog, right? So the way that a bass sounds in particular on a vinyl record is it's a much more dynamic bass range, and that is a very interesting sound for people at first. Because of the big artwork and the album in your hands, it makes you feel closer to the artist. And I think the big word, I mean, it's a bit of a buzzword right now, but mindfulness. If you're looking for a mindful experience when it comes to music, nothing comes close to a vinyl record when it comes to recorded format.
You mentioned mindfulness. Is collecting sort of tapping into your own algorithm, right?
I just love that question, because I sometimes think of it this way. You know, a vinyl record, it's like you're off-grid. Basically, the store you visit where they know you, they become your algorithm. They become the people who can suggest music to you. I think that South Africans are a very, very special type of vinyl collector. We're across all genres. There's nothing locking us into anything. I think people from different backgrounds bring something so different, whether it's our history in South African jazz or it's our 90s history in South African kwaito. I think that there's so many different elements that make South African music so special. And to see more and more South African music coming out on vinyl is a really special thing.
While the convenience of streaming music keeps growing, there is an unmatched level of connectivity, sincerity, and enjoyment that comes from playing music in this manner.
I am so jealous that Refugio got to do that. I cannot wait to go visit that store. From pattern designing to vinyl playing, you know, right here is where you get all the best in arts, culture, travel, and lifestyle. Ningithi angintjelanga. But anyway, we are taking another break right now, but do not go anywhere, because the Pilani Bubu is ushering us into paying our bills. And after that, we get to talk to her live on the Trendz live stage. Leska Suta. Welcoming you back from the break. You're still tuned in right here on Trendz Live. There's lots to celebrate this Heritage Month as we connect with artists who are dedicated to ensuring that the messages and information about our cultures are always highlighted. One artist and creative that's doing that all round, not only in September, is Pilani Bubu. This multi-award-winning singer, songwriter, poet, TV presenter, you know, the list could go on, and also the founder and curator of the Folklore Festival is here to tell us more about how she does what she does. Hello, Miss Bubu.
Hi, morning.
And yourself? I am fantastic, because how can I not be after that beautiful performance that you gave us before the ad break? I'm pinching myself, but we have to obviously get into this interview. And first question I have for you is, we're in Heritage Month, which is a month where a lot of people, you know, will dress up in their traditional clothes and are celebrating their cultures a little bit more. What do you think about the fact that only in September do we actually highlight our cultures?
I think that we can call September the pinnacle of celebrating the things that we're doing, because I think that South Africa has done a really good job to kind of return to roots, but also at the same time to remember that like roots are all encompassing. So identity is always an evolving and, you know, kind of thing or concept for us. You know, Amanda talked earlier about how, you know, she kind of questioned herself as a coconut kid and going, would I ever be able to write in my language? And I think kind of speaking our language, writing in our languages, expressing ourselves culturally through our fashion, expressing ourselves in our music around ideas of our, I guess, our culture, roots, what do you call, rituals. There's so many things that we're discussing as South Africans, including our history, which is actually part of our culture.
100%.
It determines who we are, it determines how we behave. So I think that it is good to actually mark a date in order to then have a culmination. I would say it's a culmination and not necessarily a lack of focus, because if you look all around you, a lot of South African artists are telling us and giving us and documenting and archiving all kinds of things about our identity and our culture.
And every day, not just in September.
100%.
I love that. But how do you keep the conversations about like our culture and our roots like going?
Luckily for me, music as a first medium of storytelling, including my poetry, is something that I use to kind of document what I call folklore. And essentially it's tales, it's proverbs, it's all kinds of stories, rituals, ceremonies, things that we need to understand about ourselves. And that stuff I put into the music. So this project that I just performed, Naindaba, and my last project released in December last year, Folklore Chapter 2, really embodies like different topics. The first one was just broad. The second one, Chapter 2, is about African spirituality, talking about things like Imbeleko and our rites of passages as children, and how we as African kids navigate our purpose through communion, through our ancestors. And so through this technology of music, I'm able to start conversations. And then in a way, those conversations always evolve into the Folklore Festival, where I then invite other storytellers with other mediums like literature and poetry to come and tell their stories, filmmakers, theatre. And so
it expands outside of just music.
Yes, it does.
Let's talk actually about the Folklore Festival. Tell us a bit more about it. It's happening next week. I'm sure you're so excited.
I am really excited. It's our third edition. So that means that we've been able to prove the concept 3 times.
Congratulations.
And it's on the 14th of September. And it's really a multidisciplinary festival. We've been having fringe shows of different subsets, literature intersections with music, theatre intersections with music, that are really about like showing people that there are different storytellers who are having these kind of heritage-driven messages. But specifically this year, we focused on the greater conversation for South Africans, which is about 30 years of freedom. And how are we all reflecting on that, or how have we been reflecting on that over the last 30 years? Because that is an evolving part of our identity, you know? So our theme this year is We the Folk, and we have an incredible lineup to finale the Gauteng sort of Pretoria leg. Amanda Black is on that.
She said she's going to be there. I was pinching myself. I'm like, yeah, Xhosa girls, stick it together. I love it. And also because it's not just like, you know, Xhosa artists, but you've got different cultures and different languages of different artists that are going to be on one stage.
Madala Kunene is there. Malay, she sings in Sesotho, hailing from the kingdom of Sesotho. And Madala Kunene is the king of the Zulu guitar. You know, we have to honor our greats before they, you know, pass and give them their flowers. Tubatsi Paul Malloy will be there. He's an Afrofolk artist who really embodies a lot of this, as well as Sibusile Kaba, who's an improvisational, quite ancestral, you know, evocative artist in the folk space, and so many more. Mamkina Mhlope with Vangile Gancho, as well as Moafrika Wamokhati.
All I'm hearing is, you know what, if you guys want to get an actual African experience, you need to be at this concert. And I love the fact that you've given other artists a platform to also just express themselves. And obviously you always hear compliments about your music and what you do, but I hope you know the kind of impact that it leaves in people's lives even after they leave your shows. That's just a me to you thing.
I really hope so, because, you know, for me, I've only come into the space as a storyteller, as someone who wants to shift consciousness. And so some of these songs from the Naindaba project really talk about the history of South Africa. Like the next song I'll be performing after this, and it's really about remembering who we are, even to look back and to look forward. And so I do want the music to be an archive and to be a conversation that continues way before me, and especially because I'm not in here for the money. I mean, if I was, I'd be in corporate still, you know?
We need doing something else, girl, we wouldn't be here.
Completely. I'd be stacking up this cash.
But you know, like African folklore is like interwoven to a lot of different things.
Yes.
Why is this so important to you, and why did you feel like this is a purpose that, or rather a calling that you need to fulfill?
I guess everyone's journey is different. I also identify with the idea that I was like an MTV kid and I was exposed, and I wrote my first 2 albums in English. And when I traveled the world and I was performing as an African woman, an African child, it became prevalent to me that I'm a reflection of something and stories that I carry that I probably am responsible for. And so in doing that in Folklore Chapter 1, I kind of thought that that conversation that I was trying to have about talking about men and women and culture and rights is maybe not just mine to have.
Yeah.
And so the expansion into the folklore community, folklore project, folklore festival was kind of that, and also adopting a culture of intergenerational dialogue. We started with going, how can we impart and share more of this with the kids? And then I went, well, music isn't the only art form that's doing this. There are so many African children's writers. I mean, we host children's book fairs for African kids to see themselves through the work of other people and through us, written by us, telling our own stories with our own perspective, positioning ourselves and creating a sense of confidence in the next generation.
I wonder what you just said. Like, I hope one day when I've got kids, I'm glad that there's people like you so that they can be remembered, that they're special, unique and beautiful as they are. Yes. But we need to speak about the project Naindaba that you released with Martha. Tell us a little bit more about it. You know, let's get back into your music.
Sure. Mart is a French trance-oriental jazz rock band. And they discovered my music when they heard me on the radio in France.
Crazy.
And they were like, we want to work with her. And they flew themselves to South Africa.
Are they going to be at the festival next week?
Oh, next year they'll come.
Like next year, okay, that's fine.
Performing with the local band.
Okay, great.
And essentially I hosted them at Constitution Hill, where we'll be holding the festival at the Women's Jail. And a lot that came out was just me telling them the history of South Africa, talking about the unemployed youth, talking about how far we are with the inequality quotient being the biggest in the world. We are a country of like the largest population and the big gap between the poor. And just talking also through a woman's perspective. We were at the Women's Jail, so Naindaba looks at South African history, the present to the future, from a woman's perspective and looking at women as future leaders. The song I sang before was kind of bringing in a bit of African folk music into it as well, because that's also a way that South African music travels. So Asizolala is a traditional folk song, but in it we kind of closed the project with a song of hope, saying that regardless of where humanity struggles and the inequality between us, which is a lot of the work that we describe in the project and the history of this country, that someday we always stay hopeful, and someday we will kind of like succeed, and is it calm, or of all the things that we're trying to kind of mend together.
Babes.
The fruits,
the fruits of our labor, and that's exactly what you're doing. Like, you've been planting so many seeds, and it's just growing into something so beautiful, inspiring so many of us. So for that, we really do appreciate it. But in closing, please, we have to go. What do you feel like we need to stay woke about when it comes to just educating ourselves about who we are?
Man, I think that the world is so diverse, and South Africa particularly is very diverse. Naturally, there is a way that we as Africans have an ability to intuit, and we need to have the brevity of intuition. So all of like ancestry or African spirituality, understanding of who we are to navigate the future, to navigate our purpose, to navigate our gifts, comes from actually finding ways to trust your intuition, to tap into your dreamscapes in, you know, asleep and awake, staying conscious, keeping all of your alignment clean, you know? People, abantu bapalaza for real, because they're cleansing their third eye, they're removing inflammation, and I think there's a holistic sense in which we can move that can allow us to stay clear, to stay conscious, to stay woke.
Thank you so much. And you see, you're enlightening all of us, so I have to say we appreciate that you are on the show today. Sabulela for your time. And also we get to hear another song that Ms. Pilani Bubu is going to be performing. How lucky and blessed are we? But Trendz Life family, it's time for us to wrap it up. From me, the name is Candy. Please stay sweet until we meet again. Good night.
This is for the unemployed youth. Hamba estratweni nadibana nabantwana bethu mama uyapi sicela uhamba nawo ndathi bantwana bam njani banifuna uhamba nam bapha abazali benu ngoba inyathi kuzawuba phambili nakwabadala bathi mama asinabazali sihlala kwesi strato sihlutshwa yile nyawube ndathi bantwana bam zange ndiqonde ukuba iingxaki zenu zizawuqondana nam kuzafuneke sinibambe nina ngezandla zombini sithi chu bathi mama asifundanga sihlala kwesi strato ndathi bantwana bam nizawuphatha njani ilizwe ngenye imini xa ningafundanga kuzafuneka sinibambe nina ngezandla zombini sithi chu